What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Blueandgold.com post-game live show here. I'm Mike Singer, joined by Tim Hyde, our Blue and Gold analyst. And man, what a game. There's so much to talk about. Offense, defense, special teams. Notre Dame runs away with a 41-13 victory. Appreciate it. We're expecting a huge crowd today. Make sure you drop your comments, your super chats. Let us know what you think about this win for the Fighting Irish. And we will go right to Tim and your initial reaction. I know you have a lot to say because, Tim, you were texting me and blowing up my phone during the game. So what do you got to say about this win for Notre Dame?
Well, someone just put down in the chat right there that this is fun, and that was a heck of a lot of fun. It was nerve wracking, obviously, until the big scores came. But no, it was exactly what everyone thought for the most part, a slugfest. Notre Dame could not gain a yard on the ground. The O-line issues may not be corrected until spring of 2022, and defense gets better every time they take a snap. I mean, defense was just lights out and just absolutely won that game. For them. But two things off the bat. Check this out. I saw today. That's Notre Dame's or Coach Kelly's first win outside of Notre Dame on the road as an underdog
Huh.
since 2013 when they beat Arizona State in the Shamrock Series in Arlington. So great win there. Obviously, he passed Rockney today as well. So a couple of great milestones. But no, it was a slugfest. It was a slugfest, no doubt about it. The O line for the longtime Notre Dame fans, it felt like we were watching the 2007 O line against USC with Pete Carroll's crew. It was a mess. And then I kept thinking when the game was 13-10, I was like, it totally reminded me real quick. Give a shout out to Mike Goolsby, the Tennessee game where Mike got the pick six in 04. Felt like you're watching that same slugfest where the defense was just going to win it. And I felt that, most of the game, like, all right, pick six is gonna finish this off. So heck of a ball game. Hey, and just lastly, just watching it on TV, what a crowd.
Yeah,
That place was rocking.
more so for Wisconsin, but yeah.
Oh no, I mean it was just loud. It was an awesome TV game. I can't wait to go back and rewatch this one.
Yeah, if you play college fantasy football and you had Notre Dame as your defense slash special teams, you're pretty excited right now with Chris Tyrese, kickoff return score, and then obviously the two touchdowns there to kind of blow the game open. Already got a super chat, and Tim McCarthy is just not holding back. Says
Let's
looking
go
ahead to
for that.
Cincy, we can't have Coan in there. It felt like addition by subtraction when he left the game. Great win and great defense special team. So appreciate the super chat there, Tim. So I guess with Tim's question, we might as well get right into
Yeah.
quarterback talk. And we're going to talk about all three of them here: Coan, Buckner, Pyne. Um, let's start with Coan. 15 of 29, 158 yards in the score. No turnovers. Seemed like it was similar to the Purdue game. Like he had some really nice throws, certainly missed some, got hit a bunch. Thoughts on Jack Coan's performance, Tim?
Yes, it felt like you were watching Purdue all over again. He was really off early again on some of the RPOs where they were doing hard fakes on the inside zone, and he was trying to hit slants. I think at least two were behind Austin, like completely were like on his fanny, and same with Lindsey, he missed on him. A couple deep balls again. One Lindsey's wide open, he throws it behind him and another overthrow as well. So it really felt like this, the Purdue game, once again. But he got hurt. If you go back and see it, his knee gets bent. I'm not a doctor, I'm not going to play one. So, but his knee got bent really bad. So, and he was even limping. You saw him in the fourth quarter and talking to his Wisconsin buddies after the game. He was limping. So, Coan's not going to be playing against Cincy. I bet you $1 he's out for the year. just the way that knee got bent really bad.
Wow. I mean, he was standing
That
on the
said, what?
sidelines. I mean, he
Yeah, what? I mean, I'm not on Grey's Anatomy, as I like to
right.
say, my wife's favorite show. But uh, no, it got bent bad. It got bent really bad. So he was limping pretty bad.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he seemed. I mean, yeah, he obviously was dinged up. By the way, we are both drinking water. This is not Peyton Manning on Monday Night Football. I don't know if you guys
No,
saw that, but
hot tea for the sore
yeah,
throat to do
hot
a live
tea.
show.
Yeah, Tim. Tim says he's got a little bit of a cold. I think he was just yelling during the game, but
Oh no! Well, hey, at the end, the last pick, yes, it's like take a knee, so you keep the points under, right?
I have no comment on that. But hey, yeah, this game ended up at what? What is that? 54. Just
Yeah,
blew the under. But so yeah, Coan thought he was good. Joel Klatt said he had a really good performance. For me, yeah, it was pretty similar as Purdue. You know, he throws those deep out routes so
yeah,
well. And like we talked about the Purdue game, Coan, when this is a team that you would like a mobile quarterback when your offensive line is just that bad. I mean, I see so many comments where it's like, Coan needs to get out of there. He's a statue. He needs to get out of the game. But I'm thinking, I mean, it could be Tom Brady back there. He's getting hit. Like quarterbacks, you know, they need protection.
yeah.
But so any other thoughts on Coan before we move on to the other two guys?
Well, yeah, I mean, he missed on a few, yeah, and it's hard to, he's a quarterback, so everyone wants to lay blame on the quarterback. I know a lot, but Mike, the old line guys. I mean, Wisconsin was not bringing seven; they were bringing a Mike Backer, dropping an end. They were bringing four. They were bringing four most of the time and getting pressure a lot. One of the things, and going back and rewatching it here and there between plays, was Wisconsin was just playing. It was almost like watching Bob Diaco's defense. They were playing 2-4 eyes, meaning their two ends were inside eye of the tackles. And for whatever reason, Baker and Lugg were stepping out. So, you got to rewatch it. Is there miscommunication? Did Baker think he was getting help with the guard, vice versa? It looked like a lot of their protection with Williams was underneath, was helping underneath on the nose guard at times. So a couple of those sacks were just straight four eyes going straight through the offensive tackle. So, you can't, I mean, the very first play, Coan's sitting there, and it's like, are you kidding me? So that was a little while on that one.
Yeah,
But I
go.
thought, I mean, he did some good things, and
Yeah,
I really hope his knee's not bad.
yeah. Looking at the stats here, specifically on the rushing, Kyron Williams. So you just kind of went through the pass protection. When you look at the rushing attack,
Oh,
18 carries, 33 yards along the 7. Chris Tyree, 2 rushes, 6 yards. Now the way college football keeps stats is different than the NFL. The NFL, if you look at a rushing total, it does not include sack numbers. This does. So obviously, minus 16 rushing yards for Drew Pyne and minus 19 for Coan make it look a lot worse. The sack adjusted rushing yards for Notre Dame, they had made it a lot better. 42 rushing yards, 1.6 yards per carry. I'm being facetious there.
exactly.
So that, I mean, I guess let's just get right into this, Tim. As great as this win looks right now, 41-13, I look like an idiot picking Wisconsin. I thought this game was a coin flip, and it really was going into the fourth quarter. Notre Dame blows it open, but still, there's a lot to be concerned about. I don't want to poo-poo on Notre Dame fans who are here excited, but we got to be real that there's a lot to be concerned about moving forward still, right, Tim? Unless I'm wrong here, Notre Dame,
Oh, no.
it's got Cincinnati, Virginia Tech, your next couple of games. It's going to be tough. Then a bye week, USC, UNC.
Oh, no. I mean, without a doubt. I mean, but this is going to, I think I said it on last week's show. I mean, this is going to be Notre Dame, week in and week out. They're going to grind out wins. They just are. And special teams have to perform. Defense just has to keep getting better. They got some guys on defense, and they are just playing lights out right now. So offense is what it is. Maybe it changes now that, that Coan's out, and they're going to have to maybe do some more spread, a little bit more dynamic. They played a lot of 12 personnel again today. So that was going back to the Kelly quote a week ago where he said, after Purdue, we'll kind of know who we are. And they came out. I mean, literally, I would say about 80% of their snaps in the first half, it felt like they were in 12 personnel all the time. So a whole lot of that once again. But yeah, there's definitely issues. They do not run the ball. But they did have more physical runs in the second half than they had in the first half. So
Let me interrupt you, Tim.
sure.
Now, Pyne is not some big running threat. Like I think we saw during the spring and fall camp, he could run the ball a little bit better than we thought. But I noticed that the the rushing attack actually got better when Pyne came into the game. It probably was coincidence, but that's something I noticed, that you saw Kyron actually start hitting some holes, and you even saw Drew Pyne. He was out there blocking
Mhm.
sometimes. Like Coach Rees probably like, stop doing that. We're down to 2 scholarship quarterbacks now, but yeah, that was kind of an observation that it was probably a coincidence that the run game got going a
No,
little bit when Pyne was in there.
but he showed some mobility too.
Yeah,
He showed a little bit of, I mean, he moved on some of those throws. On a couple of those throws, I mean, he looked like Ian Book out there again with a couple little plays here and there. So, you know,
yeah. Super chat here. Triple deck post says Billy Strouth, come on down. We need the help. Notre Dame still look better than Wisconsin will ever be. So yeah, I mean, I think that Wisconsin football team is, you know, down this year a little bit. I mean, that offense was pretty abysmal. But Strouth is a top Notre Dame offensive line target in the 2022 class, and he was at the game. So pretty, important that hey, he got to see the Irish win that game 41-13. Stick on the offensive side of the ball. Tim, we were talking a good bit during the game about Rees's playing calling. What kind of game did you think Rees called? Irish total yardage in this game, 242. That certainly left more to be desired, but and again, just 3 total rushing yards. What do you think about Rees's game there?
uh, I mean, as the game was going on, especially in the first half, you saw what he was trying to do. He was basically, when they go 12 personnel, they're trying to get teams into playing quarters. They're trying to get teams to stack on the safeties, put extra guys in the box so they get one-on-one shots. And they did again. They tried going deep to Lindsey, deep on those. That's what they're trying to do in the 12 personnel. Stack the box, make teams play, quarters where you basically are a 9-man front with your safeties, and he's trying to take shots from there. So that's what he was doing a little bit. The most frustrating thing, obviously, in that first half was the drive where they missed the chip shot field goal. That was a great drive, throwing it, moving it, multiple first downs. And then I just felt they got too conservative, at least on that drive, where they got inside and they go run. And it's like, why are you running the ball 2 straight plays? You can't get a yard against Wisconsin. It almost felt it was going to be one of those games. My prediction was Coan was going to throw 45 times today. I just felt he was going to just chuck it all over the place, and obviously they got up to 37 as a team because I just felt that's what they had to do was throw the ball. And
Yeah.
that was the rhythm that they were going on with Coan. So when you got in the red zone, let Coan take a shot on a nice little fade route in the back corner of the end zone, I felt. So, yeah, that driver they got no points was a killer. But overall, he stuck to his guns. He was aggressive. Still no screens. I don't think we had any screens in
They
this
they
game.
they threw the one to Mayer that was incomplete.
Yeah, that
I
was
want to
yeah,
say they tried to set one up for one of the running back. I can't remember for
yeah.
sure, but I definitely remember the Mayer one.
The Mayor one, yes. Yeah, the Mayor
Um,
one, which was just a mess. But yeah, it's still nothing to the wide receivers where I think they're just saying, hey, let's help this O line. Let's do as much 12 personnel as we can and protect them at times, crowd the box, and let's try and beat these guys one on one, which Davis did a few times today.
Here's another screen for you. When one of Pine's first throws, I think it was like a fake screen out to the running back, and he threw that little tunnel screen to Kevin
Mm-hmm.
Austin. That was a nice rhythm throw for Drew Pyne to build some confidence. I'm just thinking, man, I feel like we don't really see many receiver
No.
screens with Coan in the game. Which, let's move into talking a little bit more about Pyne and Buckner. So Buckner, we didn't get any official word from Notre Dame. Before the game, they announced that Kurt Hinish was out. They didn't say anything about Tyler Buckner being unavailable. Now, Joel Klatt in the Fox broadcast booth said several times that Buckner was unavailable today. Again, fully dressed. I mean, so we're just gonna kind of have to, speculate here, and we will, if we get any updates from Brian Kelly's press conference on that, we will let you guys know. But if Buckner were to play, I mean, do you think he would have given a big boost to the offense? Like, what would you have thought about Tyler Buckner if he were available for today's game?
Well, it depends what they were going to do. Were they going to do what they've done with them before, where you go in, it's 12 personnel, and you're handing off, maybe a little RPO outside, or were they going to spread it out and let him try and create some things with his arm and his legs, which they have not done yet? They have not. They've not gone a trips package, which they did a bunch with Coan today when they, basically Notre Dame's offense was 12 personnel or a trips with Mayer flexed out. And and they haven't done that. They haven't done that with Tyler Buckner. But I also think Kelly, Rees were like, we're not going to run the ball today. We're not going to sit here and try and do zone read on these guys. So this was going to be a Jack Coan football game, and it's a hammy. So it's still early in the season, and obviously, he didn't play today, which probably shows you he wasn't going to be healthy enough. That's my take, because that was interesting real quick when Pyne came in, because they were both warming up. I think for me, I think that showed a lot. Like Buckner wasn't ready, so they had to go with Pyne.
Yeah, it's interesting. Brian Kelly in his press conference said this past week, or maybe it was the week before, like where does Drew Pyne stand in all of this? And he said, Pyne's ready to go. We prepare all these guys, and it kind of seemed like coach talk, but it wasn't. A tweet from Tyler Horkard, beat writer, says, as we sit and wait for Brian Kelly's press conference, jump around blares from the Notre Dame locker room, lots of noise. So that's pretty funny. And yeah, that jump around, it really turned in Notre Dame's favor pretty soon afterwards. Wisconsin held a 13-10 lead early in the fourth quarter. Notre Dame erupts 31 points, again, including a couple of pick sixes from Notre Dame's linebackers, and then the Chris Tyree kickoff return score really gave the Irish a boost there. We do have a super chat, which leads us into talking about Drew Pyne, who performed obviously very admirably, 6 of 8, 81 yards, and a touchdown. Heck of a game by him just being inserted in there. He, you texted me, we'll see what Drew Pyne's made of, and I almost texted you back saying, like, if he performed badly, could you like really knock the kid, like just being thrown into that game in the third quarter when he hadn't got like the reps to be the guy? But I didn't send that text because I looked smart. Richard
No, I
says
hear you. No, I hear
Richard
you.
says Drew Pyne is Ian Book 2.0. Did you guys see the mannerisms, even cracking his neck back and forth an unhealthy amount of times, cool and collected. Look, I get that Book and Pyne both have some moxie and they're both shorter, but I think it's a little bit too early to make that comparison. But hey, what do you think about Drew Pyne? And thanks for the super chat, Richard.
The pass to Mayer on the seam was just beautiful. Even the slant.
Yeah.
What was his stat? 6 for 8, 7 or 9, something like that.
6 for 8, 81 yards.
He was on the money. That 3rd and 4 pass for the first down to Austin over there on the Wisconsin sideline that got that touchdown drive going to Austin was awesome. That was just, you just felt he's like, okay, I'm here now. Let's play. He just felt really excited, really confident. He's been in the program for a couple of years, so he knows how Rees and all these guys are going to call plays, coach, and things of that nature. And, just what you said, I thought it was great, what Brian Kelly said, 2 weeks ago, like, when his time's called upon, he's going to be ready. And that's been the culture. That's been everything Coach Kelly's preaches, the next man in when your time comes. Who wasn't not playing that? The 2 freshman receivers got in. We saw our 4th offensive tackle playing left. We're playing left tackle today, and Joe Alt. Joe Alt played 2 uniforms today. You had look at Lacey. Lacey hasn't played barely any. He's been in and out. How about Cross? Cross was like, boom, you're going in there. Heinisch has been a rock at nose. And Howard Cross, undersized, just went toe-to-toe with those big boys at Wisconsin and played his tail off. Even number 12, Patella. We'll get in the defense in a little bit, but so many guys were called upon that had not played a lot of football until today, and it was awesome to see all those guys rise up.
Let's get into the defense right now. Let's take a look at this Wisconsin drive chart. 5 turnovers. The defense was lights out. I mean, it's been a very steady progression for Notre Dame, especially since that Toledo game. Purdue took a huge step. This was, I mean, they shut down Wisconsin. Your thoughts on this Notre Dame defense? What did they do right to stop the Badgers?
Well, you asked me. I mean, I know, we were talking during the game. You're like, is it more Wisconsin or is it more Notre Dame? I thought it was Notre Dame.
Yeah,
I thought Notre Dame guys were just like, we're going to play. It's going back to they're an underdog. Notre Dame came into this game, a touchdown underdog
yeah.
in their Shamrock series in Chicago. I'm telling you, man, I really think, as a coach and guys that have played and whatnot, they took a little offense to that. And I know I told you as well, people forget, we probably didn't talk about it this week is Marcus Freeman is a Buckeye, right? He is a Buckeye and Buckeyes don't like those Badgers. So I bet you he had those guys. I mean, those guys were flying around playing crazy today, but defense was outstanding. I thought one of their really cool adjustments was they basically played a 5-3. They took out a DB. They were playing with only 3 DBs. Every time you saw number 12 on the field, they were playing a 3 DB set, with Jordan Botelho back, basically for his first game today. And the only big pass they got was when Kaiser was chasing that tight end down the seam. Rewind it. I was like, oh, they're only playing a three DB defense, and they just they challenged Wisconsin and won that challenge. They were not going to let them. I know I mentioned that the other day on why I picked Notre Dame because I didn't think Wisconsin was going to run for 250 yards against these guys. I didn't think they were going to dominate the line of scrimmage. I think Notre Dame's front just gets after it. They're just some different dudes this year up there.
The Notre Dame defensive line, I mean, has stood up this season, and I think they've been great. All
I
four
mean,
games.
99. I mean, Mills was in there. He played more than he's played in the 3 games combined, I think, today. It just seemed like 99 was out there a lot today. So a lot of bodies are playing.
To take a look at the Notre Dame special teams unit. Obviously, Chris Tyree with the 96-yard touchdown return. We'll get the headlines, but Jay Bramblett punted 7 times for 324 yards, long of 72. Pinned the Badgers inside their 23 times and had 2 punts of 50-plus yards. I know you wanted to talk about Jay Bramblett.
Oh, yes. I mean, the guy was unbelievable. Look what he did to set up the D. I was sitting there. I mean, this game had so many ebbs and flows and, this guy, that guy stepping up, making plays. It's like, I'd be curious to see who got the game ball today from Coach Kelly in the crew. I was thinking, I mean, Bramlett's the punter. I mean, he's changed the field multiple times today and flipped it, which once again, could Wisconsin go 80 plus yards on Notre Dame's defense? They proved they couldn't do it today. I mean, JD was a stud today.
Super chat from Christopher. Really appreciate it. More quarterback talk with Pyne. We look more like 2020 with the caveat of more weapons and a disruptive defense with O-line issues. Play to your strengths and start Pyne. What say you? What do you think, Tim? I'll let you go first before I give my answer here.
Oh, what, Pyne versus Buckner? I think
You're all right. You've said you think Coan's out for a while. I don't want to assume anything.
no, I'm
So
not assuming nothing. I just rewatched the play. It looked the same type of injury Fisher had. I mean, the same knee bend, the same get up slow, all those had the same types of things when Blake Fisher went down. So I'm just, flipping a coin and saying I would
all
not be
things
surprised
equal,
if he's out.
you
Sure.
got all 3 quarterbacks. What are you doing?
Oh, if Coan's 100%, you got to play Coan. I mean, if Coan's 100%, you got to play him.
Why?
Experience, 4-0 experience. I mean, does he deserve to be benched? If they're all equal, that's just
Yeah.
that's just my take. That's just my take. If they're all 100% equal, he's proven it through 4 games. He is the starter, but he got hurt. Buckner wasn't ready. I would have been really curious to see what Coach Kelly, if Buckner was 100%, if Buckner, had played that second half against Purdue and his hammy was good, would they have gone with him or Pyne today? That would have been really interesting.
Right. Right.
That's the real story now, is those 2.
So I absolutely understand the your offensive line is not great, so you need a mobile quarterback. I get that. That's what I've been saying. I've been saying Ian Book is the perfect quarterback for this offense, and Jack Coan would have been perfect for last year. Like that's what I've been saying. Um, but and I'm a huge Drew Pyne guy. I mean, I got people tweeting me and dropping comments on YouTube. Mike, you were right about Drew Pyne, and I'm kind of like, feeling a little bit good about myself after I wrongly picked the outcome of this game. So, but I don't agree with the notion that you start Drew Pyne because he's mobile. I don't really know that's even that accurate. Like I don't think that he solves that issue. Like I don't think he's Ian Book back there. He is not the same athlete as Ian Book. I'm a little worried that Notre Dame fans are overhyping Drew Pyne right now. He came in and gave them a huge jolt, but I don't know that he is the answer. As much as I love Drew Pyne, like I don't know, I there's just a little bit
I mean,
concerned.
there's, I mean,
And
there's tons. Go
let
ahead.
me
Go
finish
ahead.
on Buckner in there. I mean, yes, he is that mobile, but what is he as a downfield passer? I mean, he's got to be able to move and then throw the football. If he's not just taking downfield, then what? I mean, what kind of throw over the football is he downfield? I think if it were just a really easy decision, well, we need a mobile quarterback. Let's put Buckner in there. I think the staff would have already done it if they thought he was ready to, lead the entire offense. That's just my thoughts, Tim.
True, but they're also thinking Coan's experience. We don't have a good O line. We got some pretty good wide receivers, so let's go with the experienced guy. We could maybe do a few more things with him with RPOs and things of that nature. I think that's just been their thought process with Coan. The thing that Buckner could throw. I mean, all you have to do is watch some of his practice film, watch his high school film. Buckner could throw. So I know Buckner could throw a play action deep
He's
post.
got the talent, but we haven't seen him
He
do it
could
in a
throw.
game. That kind of goes back
Of
to your
course not, because
experience.
they haven't let him do it. Every time Buckner's been in, it's been 12 personnel, unbalanced, zone read, throw a hot route.
I,
That's what
I,
they've done with Buckner. They've
right.
kept it tiny, tiny, tiny
And
package.
so the question is, you say they haven't let him do it, and again, we really only had him in there to see just the Toledo game. He didn't play much against Purdue. Did he even play against Purdue?
Just
I
that
can't.
first half when he got
Yeah,
the hamstring.
yeah. That's right. Um, so why haven't they let him throw the football? Which that's my thing. So why you think that? I mean, I give a little bit of credit to Notre Dame that they might know that or have the belief that he's just not ready to. So that's where I'm at.
True, but this is also this is what Coach Kelly does. He doesn't throw freshmen, true freshmen right out of high school. He doesn't throw them into the fire. He
At quarterback,
yeah,
because he's certainly done at other positions.
true, but he hasn't done a quarterback,
Yeah,
so he's not gonna throw him in there. But I
Reese.
also go
I think
back
Reese did a
to
little bit. I think that was a little bit more by necessity. Was that 20?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So
That was
yeah,
2010, yeah.
yeah.
But also, it goes back to the experience, trusting Buckner. Once again, only one high school football season, so he's not coming in a Trevor Lawrence ready to roll right out of high school, that
Right.
type of guy. So even Bryce Young in Alabama, who is I mean, he could have played last year with obviously coming out of modern day and stuff like that. So he's not a ready-made guy. So they're still working with him. With Pyne, he's been in the system a few years. So that's probably why they went with him. And it was the type of game where you needed a guy who could throw the ball, and they probably just trusted him.
I think if Coan is still able to play, I think you have to play him because you I mean you can always put someone else in. Like I think you've got options. What about the point, Tim, of Notre Dame has had to play three quarterbacks to win football games. Jack Coan has won them football game. Florida State, Purdue. Tyler
Mm-hmm.
Buckner, they don't win that Toledo game without him. Now, do
No,
they win today without Drew Pyne? I think you can make that argument that they do. That kickoff return put them up 17-13, but you kind of play a lot of what if games if you kind of go down that route. But so I'm not 100% sure Notre Dame loses this game, but Drew Pyne certainly helped Notre Dame win this football game. So I mean,
We gave him a spark.
you got to give some credit. Definitely gave him a spark.
A
Give some
spark.
credit to Kelly and Rees for having those guys prepared to play football games.
Oh, without, I mean, what, no doubt about it. He was ready. They came in, they had a nice package for him. I mean, just trusting. I mean, they're down driving, and just to hit Mayer down into that red zone, down to the 10-ish. I mean, they trusted him because he's not scared. You throw a pick to the safety or whatnot. They're like, no, that's a great read. Let's call this play for him. So they trusted Pyne. But when you say, excuse me, when you say they played three quarterbacks, they've played three at a lot of positions this year. So a lot of guys are stepping up all over the place for this football team. So, it was great to see. The kickoff return obviously just gave them, the juice so much, and they just teed off of that and just got rolling. But then Pyne gets the ball, they get the strip sack, the touchdown. It's the momentum. And Notre Dame was just rallying like crazy. They were not going to give up this lead.
Sorry, I accidentally muted myself there. Going back to the offensive line, Tim, like you said, it just kind of is what it is right now. On the Drew Pyne sack, forced fumble recovery for Wisconsin, Tosh Baker got beat so bad inside. I want to say that he was expecting the left guard to help him out, because otherwise that was one of the worst efforts I've
It
ever
was
seen.
Well,
Um,
it's the same thing on the first play. They were, once again, Wisconsin was just playing their 50 front, where you put two guys inside eye of the tackle, two four eyes, and you're just B gap, bull rush. I mean, it was Stephon Tuitt. That's what he's awesome at when he played at ND with Captain Lewis Moore and all those guys. Wisconsin has those same guys, and and I was sitting there, I was like, why are you kick stepping out? The guy's inside on you. Block that guy, especially when he has no help to the edge, because the running backs would go inside. So obviously that's his guy to block. So, once again, is it miscommunication? What the heck was going on? Because I think three of the sacks today were just from a guy playing the four eye going straight ahead. So there had to have been some crazy miscommunication of them worried so much about all these blitzes, when really most of the blitzes are just from the Mike or the Will popping on inside, because they were dropping ends a ton to help on Michael Mayer a bunch.
do you have any answers right now for what they need to do? Your your eyes just light up. Now you're texting me. You want to see Notre Dame go more 10 personnel, which is four receivers in a back, or 11. You just throw Michael
With
Mayer
Mayer.
at receiver, so
Yeah.
10 or 11 personnel. You don't like as much 12, which is two tight ends with this Notre Dame offense. Why is that? Because for me, I'm thinking, man, 12 personnel would be fine, or even 11 if you have a tight end next to that left tackle to help out a little bit more. What's your thought
Okay.
process there, Tim?
Okay, but if you do that, so you're saying you want to go 11 personnel, or Notre Dame in general, so you want Michael Mayer out of the football game. That's
No,
basically
I
what you're
like
saying.
I like 12 and put George Takis next
Well,
to
that's
Tosh
what they
Baker.
do, but Takis is not a good blocker. If you watch 85 a lot, he misses
Okay.
a lot. I don't think he's a good. I don't think he's a good blocker. Alt's a better blocker than Takis,
Okay.
from what I've seen.
What? All right. Then what about 12 personnel? Alter tight end.
Okay, well, once again, if you go 12 personnel, you're just going to be running, two-man routes. That's what they did last year. They ran two-man routes with McKinley and Skoranek. And occasionally when they go 11, they bring Davis in. So if you're going 12 personnel, you only got two wide receivers out there. So
Well,
you're already
Mayor,
restricting the box.
Mayor. You got Mayor out there too.
Mayer,
The
but
three.
but when they go 12, 90% of the time when they go Mayer, he's a wing. So he's a wing, offset wing. They do a double tight, one on each side occasionally, but they do a lot of wing sets. Tack is in line with Mayer as the wing. So
Wing? Are you saying
I'm going to
he's
limit
right
him.
next to Takis?
Yes, exactly.
Well, what
Yes.
about splitting him out and put him in the slot? Then you got Austin and Lindsey
Well,
to the
that's
field
what they
boundary.
did a lot of today, or when they went 10 personnel. So when I say 10, it's four wides. You
Yeah.
got four guys spread out. That's Michael Mayer into the boundary. Michael Mayer looked like Michael Mayer again today. He was in the boundary catching some boundary passes. You put your trips to the wide side. That's three fast dudes now. Those
Yeah.
are some fast guys. Lindsey, Davis, and Austin. Three guys, and that's why I made the point the other day was I thought this game was going to come down to, can Wisconsin cover Notre Dame for 60 minutes on the outside? They could early, they couldn't at the end.
I want to go back to something you had mentioned earlier, Tim. The play of the interior defensive line. Kurt Heinisch is out, and then Jacob Lacey, Howard Cross. Wow, did they step up? What did you see from the defensive line, but more specifically that interior with Kurt Heinisch out?
Number one, effort. Absolute amazing effort. Those guys were just they're going at it. I mean, some of the plays that they were making, especially their tackles for losses or stuffs, meaning just gains of 1 or 2 yards. They had a lot of those today. They did a lot of ripping, a lot of cross facing today. Watching those guys get after it. I mean, they're animals. They were animals. Howard Cross is an undersized nose guard without a doubt. All right, he's not Lewis Nix out there. So he's an undersized, and the same with Lacey, who's been on and off injured for the last 2 years, and he it's just effort. Those guys just played out of their minds. I felt today.
We do have an update here on on Jack Coan. Brian Kelly says Jack Coan is our starter. Kelly, this is Tyler Horka's tweet. Kelly squashed any notion of a potential Notre Dame quarterback controversy rather confidently at the end of his press conference, and also kind of in that Jack Coan should be okay. So
Wow.
that is
Well,
that's
yeah,
that.
that's just, that if he's okay, if it's just a little tweak, a little sprain, number one, it's going to make him a heck of a lot, less mobile,
Sure.
so to speak. So especially against the Cincinnati defense, it's going to be flying around next week. So that's going to be interesting to see what that was, because it did get bent really bad. So hopefully it is just a sprain.
Got another tweet here from Adam Rittenberger of ESPN. It says good news on Jack Coan, as Notre Dame coach Brian Kelly says X-rays were clean and that it doesn't look like a high ankle sprain. Kelly is optimistic that Coan will return next week against Cincinnati. Tyler Buckner was unavailable today but could be back too. So that is the update there
Well,
on Notre
that
Dame's two quarterbacks.
well, that's obviously great news that it's not the knee, because he got bent low and his knee went back. His ankle was twisted, which sometimes you're thinking it could be that knee, that MCL or ACL. So that's huge. That is huge. It's nothing with the knee.
Right.
That's big news. So I know, but just real quick, Mike, I know people are gonna. I mean, Notre Dame football, right? Everyone loves the number two. It's the history of Notre Dame. Pyne comes in, rallies the troops, has great stats. He looks awesome. It gets everyone excited. Coan is not. Coan was not on. Like we talked earlier, he looked like he did against Purdue that first half. He missed some dudes. There's a slant to Austin on the wide side. It's behind him. He threw more passes behind guys today than I thought he did against Purdue.
Here's the thing that I will defend Jack Coan on. Okay, if you're a quarterback, you need help. You need things around you. So he's got no running game, and his offensive line stinks, and he's a pocket quarterback, and he still the field goal drive was that the 13 the play drive where they missed that field goal. I want to say. Let me pull this up.
Yes. Yes, that was a great drive.
Yeah, 15 plays,
Great drive.
59 yards. Time of possession 6 minutes 37 seconds.
Yes.
He was marching them downfield.
Yes.
He kind of put on a Superman cape for some of the first half, and the offense is just here you go, Jack. Here's the football. We need you to do everything for us. That's not easy, and it's not like Notre Dame's got absolute world beaters at receiver as well. I think they got the best tight end in the country, if not the best, top two or three. Kevin Austin was great today. They got some nice pieces at receiver, but that's tough. That is a tough position. So if Drew Pyne, is going to be the guy, or Tyler Buckner, they have to help those guys out a lot more. I don't know. Heck,
But
any of these quarterbacks, I don't know if they can sustain this against what's coming up.
true, but the things you just said about not getting help, I'm talking about when he does throw the ball. He's not getting hit. He's not getting crushed from behind when he's trying to hit Austin in our RPO and it's behind him. He's not getting hit. He's got a clean pocket. There was more clean pockets today than there were not, believe it or not.
Hmm.
I know the sacks look bad. Those plays are brutal, but he had clean pockets on some of these plays where he did miss. He is not,
He's
he
not
did.
infallible. I know
No,
that. He's going to miss
there's
throws.
there's
Everyone
no
misses
there's no doubt
throws.
about that. There's no doubt about that. But let's also think that he's not, he's not going to be an all-American quarterback, so to speak, because he does miss at
Yeah.
times. Is he
Yeah.
thinking in his head, I just got sacked a few plays ago, whatever? But I'm talking about the plays where it's clean pocket and he's overthrowing guys. I
Right.
mean, they
I'll
got
go
to
back
clean up
and
some.
think about Mitch Trubisky took the Bears to the playoffs. He was terrible. You got to help out the defense. Certainly is helping things out
They're getting
for
better.
Coan, but the pieces around him on offense, like they.
But those guys, maybe I look at I mean, they're fast. You're telling me Brendan? I mean, how have they not hit Lindsey on just a go yet?
Yeah,
They overthrew him again today. One was behind him,
yeah.
which
There
should have
was
been
one.
PI,
Yep,
pass interference. So,
yep.
but they haven't hit Lindsey. Lindsey's running by dudes.
Yeah. Yep. There was the one that I want to say was on a post. There was a really nice play by the defender. I thought it
Really,
was a well placed ball. There's always the drop last week. That's neither here nor there. Um, I don't know whether it's
but
Tim or Goolsby. I'm always arguing with somebody about
oh
quarterbacks.
no,
Like I
no,
love
but
all
you're
the quarterbacks at Notre Dame.
hey,
No matter what happens, I'll be on here defending them. I guess that's just kind of my shtick.
but you also just real quick, Mike. I mean, what you said earlier is true. I mean, this wide receiver unit is not experienced dudes coming all over the place, right? You have Lindsey, who's been on and off injured. Austin, we haven't seen until this year. Wilkins has been a career backup, and Avery Davis has played 7 positions at Notre Dame. But when Davis is called upon, he sure does make plays. And there's no tight end like Michael Mayer. He's the best. He's the best. But it's you're still you're still trying to run an offense, complete passes with a transfer quarterback to a lot of inexperienced receivers still to this day,
Yeah.
trying
All
to
right,
make plays.
we're gonna get into question time here. So go ahead, drop your questions for the last about 20 minutes of the show. But you did touch on this earlier, Tim, as you sip your tea. I hope it's still warm there. 42
Oh,
minutes
it's good.
in.
It's good.
Throat feeling a little bit better.
Yeah, it's the honey now, so it's getting there.
There you go. Win number 106 for Kelly. I mean, the narrative that he's put out there this week is just, hey, I'm the all-time winningest coach that at Notre Dame that hasn't won a national championship. Um, I mean, it's a credit to him that he's built the program up to where it's a consistent winner, to where it's for a lot of fans at Notre Dame, it's just national championship or bust.
True. I mean, what Coach Kelly said is probably the best quote that he can say. Yeah, I'm the all-time winningest coach. Yeah, I mean, number one, he's coached more games. It's a different era than it was back in the heyday and whatnot. And but the great thing with Coach Kelly is the Brian Kelly 2.0. Look back what he did after 2016. He changed everything: offense, defense, special teams, weight room, dieting, everything. Even changed himself, the way he interacts with kids, eating with them, talking with them, having more meetings with kids, especially in the off season. These are all things he's gone out and talked about that have been written about, where he's given interviews where he's completely changed. He knows he made mistakes in 2016, and it's a different animal now with him, no doubt about it. And what he's done to get to this point is pretty awesome. Especially at the broadcast, they said think of this. Rockney's held that record for 90 years.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame's got some of the greatest coaches in the history of college football, and none of them broke it. Now, obviously, they retired early, but that's pretty amazing stat when you think about Rockney. 90 years he's held that.
I tweeted right at the start of the game that I really wish Lou Emoji were with us for this game. Just all of the tidbits that he would have been able to give us. Remembering the 1964 game. I mean, like he would have been able to give you all the details of that game. Like the last time that Notre Dame and Wisconsin had played, like really wish
Definitely.
Lou were here with us. But I'm sure he was up there watching this game with Era and Newt Rockne. I mean, like I'm sure that's exactly what he was doing. So, question here from Eric: does Notre Dame go undefeated in the regular season? I mean, he says if they beat Cincy, but that would just be from here on out. I'll put you on the spot, Tim. What's next? I mean, I picked Notre Dame to go to 11-1 and this was before the season with the lone loss being against Wisconsin. So I stuck with that. Heading into this past game, and part of my reasoning, and I said this in our pregame show, Tim, was that I'm not going to predict Notre Dame to lose at home, and the road games that look tough on paper. Virginia, I mean, I think Virginia lost today, but
They lost last night to Wake Forest.
that's right. Yeah, it's Wake. Florida State, I wasn't going to. I mean, so Virginia Tech, I mean, and they've already. They lost. I want to say it was not a pretty one either. So what do you got,
Hey,
Tim?
hey, 2021 is a week by week season. There
Yeah,
is no way I am predicting a record between now and Stanford. No way. They've played 4 left tackles, 3 quarterbacks. All right. What? 5 nose guards. I mean, they got it's a week by week season. I mean, they got young dudes all over. The experienced guys once again stood out today. Drew White, MTA on defense, Adamiola 57, Hamilton. I mean, the same guys stood out all over the place. Kyron Williams playing his tail off, obviously Mayer with the experience. So it is week by. Does Notre Dame go undefeated? Who knows? I mean, I'm not trying to be wishy-washy here, but with this group, man, it's week by week. Cincinnati's the next Super Bowl. Then it's a bye, correct? No, they don't. Or do they have a bye?
yeah, the 8th. Yeah,
Yeah,
October
that's
8th
right. They do have a
weekend.
bye. And then
Yeah,
they come back with what at Vodtech is it? And then UNCSC, I
15th.
believe. In that
Maybe
order.
I
I
think
don't
the 15th is the bye. I think the 9th is Virginia Tech, then the bye, then
gotcha.
USC and UNC
NC.
at
Gotcha.
home.
Gotcha. No,
So
hey, next week's gonna be pretty awesome. Cincinnati's gonna be a top 10 football team. Are they gonna be favored coming into Notre Dame? Now that we're
I don't
learning
think so.
about
I don't.
now that we're learning about you don't think they'll be favored at Notre Dame,
I don't
say
think
by
so.
3
No.
with the injuries piling up at Notre Dame with a
Let me check.
quarterback
Has
with it.
Cincinnati played yet this week?
I don't know. I don't know.
Let's see if we got a line on this thing. I'll pull up my Yahoo app here.
There you go.
Notre
Live.
Dame. All right, so this is per Yahoo Sportsbook, 4-point favorite.
Who?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. Okay.
I'm
Okay.
gonna pull up another site.
But now we're going to go into this week. What's Coan doing? Is he going to be?
Apparently, Kelly feels good that he's gonna play, but yeah, what to what?
But is that little showmanship getting ready for Cincinnati? Saying, "Oh, he's fine. He's fine. A little ice bath. He'll be back Tuesday." That's got to be some showmanship.
Kelly Kelly has certainly shown that. Yeah, he will say and we'll say things during a press conference, but you gotta
Look what he
take
did with
something.
Heinisch this week. It leaked out Heinisch wasn't playing, and he was like, guys are always hurt. Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah,
So, yeah, we're
uh,
not going to know about Coan until the afternoon on
yeah,
Saturday.
yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, unless Kelly says in press conference Monday he's fine and he just practiced 100%. I mean, he could dispel it, but yeah, we'll still see. KMA Preston off the of the interceptions our defense had, what percentage was because of great play by us compared to a dumb mistake by the Wisconsin quarterback? And I'd even take that a step farther to something we said something earlier, like you seem to think it was more Notre Dame defense
Yes.
playing well compared to the Wisconsin offense. I will agree with you, but that Wisconsin offense was really bad. I mean, I
Hey,
underestimated
they
just how
had
bad
more.
they
They had
were.
over three. They had over 300 yards. I mean, they had more yards than Notre Dame did today. I'm not saying that they're the world beaters. I mean, they're whatnot. But hey,
They
that running
did.
back, that
Wow.
Clemson running back could run. I mean, he had a couple nice runs. Wisconsin changed up their scheme a little bit, started doing more pulls, getting outside on the perimeter a little bit more. But when they went toe to toe with Notre Dame, that's all Notre Dame. That's Wisconsin's bread and butter. Get under center, 4th and 1, 3rd and 2, and just hammer the rock. And Notre Dame stuffed them today. Stuffed them. The interceptions, I totally think, obviously the one that was tipped, but the one by Cam Hart, the two by Cam Hart, that's Cam Hart. That's jumping on the ball, reading those routes. That's straight him. Because the second one was a heck of a throw by the Wisconsin quarterback. That was on the money. He just robbed it underneath. And the long pass that Kaiser took, that's him. What an interception that was. Taking that one 66 yards, I think they said it was, for a pick six.
All right, let's see what else we got in the YouTube chat here. Notre Dame favored 7. I feel like if the line actually opens if that's true and it opens at 4, I feel like it'll get bet down. I don't know a ton about Cincinnati football right now,
and I have not watched really Cincinnati. I know I'll get into their IU game since that was a big one. I don't even know. I just know their quarterback's outstanding. That quarterback's a heck of a football player. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to watching them.
All right, you guys drop your questions. We will get to them. Big group with us again. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I pretty much covered offense, defense, special teams at this point, except for the linebackers and defensive backs. We haven't really talked too much about. Cam Hart, 2 interceptions. Obviously, the linebackers both had interceptions returned for touchdowns. Tell us about the linebackers. Anything different or interesting today from that group, and anything on the defensive backs you do want to mention, Tim?
No, I mean, Bertrand didn't get 10 tackles, right? I think I saw he had 8 or 9. So that was a little, but man,
Shame.
he had a couple. That guy had a couple fills that were just lights out. I thought this was a great, Drew White game because it's straight ahead. It's in the box. He wasn't, he doesn't have to run out to the perimeter and things of that nature. He had some amazing fills as well. And, going back to one of my comments earlier, they were just like, hey, we're going to play a 5-3. We're going to stand up Foskey and Botello on the edges, put all 3 our starting 3 backers in the box and just play with 3 DBs. I thought that was a great, great adjustment because they had not shown that all year long now. That was a great adjustment by Coach Freeman and just really showing Wisconsin an entire new scheme.
Yeah. In defense backs, Cam Hart, those 2 interceptions were impressive.
2 picks. They Lewis gave up. He got beat. That was an overthrow by Wisconsin on that one where he got beat. But no, I mean they played solid. They played solid all game. I mean they held them down, kept the points way down. It was a heck of an effort. Obviously I'll get into it more, especially the third down D again. What was Wisconsin on third down D? Like 2 of 15. What were the stats? I know you had them.
Wisconsin third downs 1 of 14.
1 of 14. Wow. I mean, that is lights out. That's lights out.
Yeah, Notre Dame was 5 of 16. Notre Dame penalized 11 times for 93 yards. I'm saying, the more you when you think about this game, and I'll pop back up the scoring plays, that 13-10, 14 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I mean, Notre Dame blows out Wisconsin, but it was a close football game. Touched on this earlier. Let's go back to it, Tim. What are some of your concerns, about Notre Dame football as they head into this Cincinnati game? I know that it's kind of obvious, but I mean, is there anything of those concerns that you feel like are fixable in a week?
Well, number one, I think I texted you was, on Chris Tyree was that the first time they've returned a kick? So it was really nice to see an actual kick return this year, and he takes it to the house. So, when you go to concerns, I'm stunned we don't have 3,700 questions about the O-line because it's the O-line. But the issue is, it is what it is. And, I hate to say that because now through 4 games, there's something to where they just don't trust any right guards. That's a little worrisome that Kane Madden has had every single rep at right guard. Kristofik got in today.
He
I
did.
think Kristofik's been playing pretty good foot. I mean, he's a pretty good football player. I'm a little stunned they just don't rotate him right and left, right and left. To almost have a 3-man rotation going in because Madden gave up a Matt. I don't know. Don't get me started. I don't. That is the one thing through 4 games that just continued to puzzle me is how is Kane Madden repping every single snap. I understand Josh Luck. He's been in the program guy, all of those things. They really, especially with Fisher and basically Carmody out, they were down to just 2 tackles. They put, Alton for a little bit today. I think that just give Tosh Baker probably a mental break, if anything.
Sure.
But it really is surprising what's going on the right side. They pulled Madden a couple times today. He doesn't block anybody when he pulls. I would just throw that play out. It's like, do not pull Kane Madden.
So what do you do? I mean, do you move over Lug or Kristofik to right guard?
That for me, that's been the surprising thing. They obviously trust Kristofik. They trust him. He's gone in. He
Not
played a
enough to
couple series
start.
today. What's that?
I said they don't trust him enough to start.
Exactly, but they do trust him to play. So I know. Yeah, I don't know. That is the biggest puzzle is the right guard. I'm not saying he's the issues to the O-line. Not saying that at all, but he's a major part of it. So if he's not grading out 85%, and dominating and just road grading people, then why aren't you giving one of the young guys just 12 snaps? You're telling me someone on that backup you're telling me Kristofik can't go play 12 snaps for Zeke, 12 snaps for Madden? That's one thing I don't understand. The tackle issue is what it is. You basically got 2 injured guys. Fisher and obviously Carmody was not healthy enough. That was a high ankles. That was a bad sprain that he had. And that's why he's missed 2 games. So you're down there.
Question from KMA Preston says how many freshmen got snaps today? Obviously, Joe Alt played a little bit at left tackle and tight end, switching between 76 and 45. Saw Lorenzo Styles play some field receiver. Deion Colsey got a couple of snaps.
Yep.
Yeah,
Styles was in there a handful, 21.
Yeah. And then defensively, I can't think of anyone. I don't think we saw Cauley.
Well, defense, no. I mean, they just went, Bauer came in and, when they do the 4-2-5. And outside of that, it was, their main 3 is what they're doing. I saw a couple of guys on the stat sheet. A few freshmen are playing out there on the return teams and the kickoff cover. So those guys are out there getting their feet wet. But no main freshmen are playing on D.
Right, yeah. So of the true freshmen that are playing the most, it's Joe Alt right now. How about that? Right? He's the main contributor of that freshman group. Unless I'm forgetting somebody.
When you go back a year ago, just go back a year, when he signed and things of that nature. What was he, 250-ish, too skinny?
Oh, don't get me started.
But I'm just saying
I love talking about it.
His film wasn't, it looked low levelish at Minnesota. Obviously, his dad was a great pro and things of that nature. But man, that guy, he's a really good football player for his age, putting on all that weight basically in the last 9 months, so to speak. He's a good football player. He moves really well out there, really well. Yeah. He's not as stiff at all.
Yeah. I love this tweet right here. Let me pop this up on the screen. From Robbie Toma. If I'm not mistaken, Coach Mike Elson also has 106 wins at Notre Dame as well. That's awesome.
Yes. That's pretty cool.
With
what is that? Oh, Tropic Thunder?
Tropical Thunder, yeah. Still haven't seen that movie. Yeah. Still have not.
What?
I know.
Oh my God. That's a top 5 of all time.
All right. Couple super chats. Daniel, appreciate it. Jim, appreciate another super chat. Drew was Billy Strouth at the game today. Yeah, that was my understanding. That was that was what I heard. That he was at the game. So I'll check in there. I know. So I saw a couple comments. People ask me for recruiting scoop right now, coming off the game. I'm doing this show, guys. So make sure to just check out maroongold.com.
Let's figure out the QB play, huh?
Yeah. Eric says Strouth has to be thinking he can come and play right away for us. And not only that, Notre Dame did get the win too. So get a little combo package there. He can play right away, and you got the win. So, Daniel, thanks for what you do for Notre Dame family. Just we really enjoy cover Notre Dame football on our YouTube page. Nick Lane says, "Is Jack Coan a title-winning QB?" I mean, here's the thing. I would answer your question with two more questions. Are any of the Notre Dame quarterbacks right now a title-winning quarterback? And who on this roster is like a title-winning player? Like, I just feel like we, as football fans, just so hyper-focus on the quarterback, but don't look around. Is Notre Dame is there enough around the quarterback to help him succeed? Like the quarterback, certainly, if you have a Trevor Lawrence type quarterback back there, he will mask a lot of deficiencies. But I mean, like a Tim Tebow, Cam Newton, like that kind of guy. But yeah, I mean, those don't come around very often. In Alabama and Clemson seem to be getting all those guys right now. So that's my take. Like the answer is Notre Dame's not a title-winning team right now. That's my answer, and it's not a Jack Coan problem in my opinion.
Can I throw a but in there? But if going back to a couple questions earlier, if they beat Cincinnati, not saying they're a national title team, but this could be a heck of a special team. There's something about, you just watch these guys play. If you sit back and watch these guys play, these dudes are giving effort. They're giving effort. They're playing their tails off for Notre Dame. They are playing hard. They go in and take care of Cincinnati, keep improving. Who's to say what's going to happen here at the end of the season? Not saying national championship because, are we going to really, Alabama again? So it's like, don't even go there.
This team plays Alabama. If Notre Dame runs if they run the table and play Alabama, which Alabama hasn't even looked, that fantastic. I think Joel Klatt said in the broadcast that like there's some parity in college football this year, which is cool. But yeah, still, if Notre Dame goes and plays Alabama or Georgia,
no, I agree. But the season, that's why it's one step at a time. It really is with this group, and just trying to get some guys healthy and see what happens, especially with Coan, if the news is true.
Yeah. Ron says Hamilton. Yeah, Hamilton certainly won. And going back to truck or trailer, that's one of my favorite things of a Bucky Brooks NFL analyst. Or is the player a truck? Is he pulling other guys along, for success, or is that player a trailer that he needs others to pull him around? Going into like at halftime or so, I was like, man, Jack Coan, like Notre Dame, they need him to win this. Like he is the offense, and then you see Drew Pyne go in there, you're like, like he can get it done too. So, any thoughts on my truck or trailer thing?
Well, that's because of the O-line again. I mean, your truck or trailer, the quarterback has to be a truck. Easy as that, because the O-line is a little tiny U-Haul trailer that fits a fridge on it right now. So, they're not even a trailer. So, it's quarterback. Whoever that quarterback is, he better be a truck.
Yeah.
This football team needs a quarterback.
Yeah. And I think
to win games, win these games.
To be a trailer, I mentioned Mitch Trubisky. He was a trailer. That
was a great Bears defense too.
Yeah. Like Mac Jones could have been a trailer, but when you just have that good of a team around you, a Joe Moore Award O-line, 2 top 10 picks at receiver, who is the running back last year for Alabama? That is escaping me. Najee Harris. Yeah. He went early second round to the Steelers. So
yeah, well, he was the Steelers' first round. It's nothing better than throwing a slant, a 5-yard slant that goes 65.
Right.
Whenever you want.
Right.
All
right. We're over.
Notre Dame's trying. Notre Dame's trying to hit those slants.
Yeah. We are a little bit over the hour mark, but we still got a couple questions we'll get to pretty quickly here. Tim, what are your thoughts about how this game makes Marcus Freeman look? He went from, man, is he the second coming of Brian Van Gorder to, that defense carried Notre Dame today. The story, we're talking majority about the quarterbacks, but
It's defense.
it's the defense. I mean, that was an outstanding performance.
I mean, once again, you have Wisconsin basically a touchdown favorite today. Defense was like, no, not going to happen. They played lights out. I go back this whole season, this whole little evolution of this defense was Notre Dame was all about surviving, getting through that heat, that humidity. They're up 38-20. They relaxed. That drive where they played the three, they almost did it like a hair today, right? When they started doing a couple 3-man fronts, Wisconsin had a few first downs. I think half of Wisconsin's yards, it felt like, were near the end, which didn't gain much. Hey, Marcus Freeman just keeps getting better. He keeps getting better. They gave up, the one little shovel pass for a great run that got him down there to score. Obviously, the little seam when they were playing their 5-3-3. But overall, no big, no giant, big play killers.
Yeah.
They had 2 today. They swarmed it down. But his defense has got, I mean, come on. His defense has gotten better and better and better and better. Even in the Toledo game, it's 2 plays. It's 2 plays.
Yeah. Yeah. Got a comment here saying Singer's digging himself a hole. Probably bet against Notre Dame this game. I took the +6.5 and the under. So I did not. The under I'm a little upset about, but there you go.
Big sixes.
Yeah. So, well, Tim, a lot of fun.
Hey,
We will see
a lot
you
of fun. A lot of fun.
our pregame show next week. Be a lot of fun. And hour and 6 minutes in. This was a lot of fun. Appreciate you guys joining us. Make sure you hit that thumbs up before you get out of here. And we will catch you guys very soon. Make sure you go to blueandgold.com for all of your coverage of Notre Dame football.